So then the painful part is not only that the outcome was negative, but there's a deeper pain of what the outcome seems to confirm about you. Have you ever had a simple choice to make and it felt way heavier than it should? And then you started to wonder, but why is it so hard for me to make a decision? I was never like this. Making simple decisions can feel extremely heavy after narcissistic abuse. But what if the problem is not that you cannot make good decisions? In this episode, I'll be talking about why decisions feel so hard after abuse and why that does not mean that you are incapable. So grab your journal and pen. Let's get into it. Do you want to heal from narcissistic abuse, but you struggle with self-doubt and second-guessing everything? If so, you're in the right place. I'm Tekyia, mom, coach, and your survivor friend. Here we mix faith, real talk, and practical tools to restore confidence and self-worth. So if you're ready to rebuild your confidence and finally feel at peace, take a deep breath. Exhale now. Let's heal for real. I know you're tired of holding everything together and pretending that you're okay when you're really falling apart on the inside. You're tired of blaming yourself for what happened. Tired of trying to explain something that already feels confusing enough in your own mind. And honestly, tired of feeling like you're facing your healing journey alone because the people around you don't really understand what narcissistic abuse does to a woman. I remember being in that place. I felt like a shell of myself. I felt unworthy of anything good. I felt incapable. I constantly second-guessed everything. But I knew that I desperately wanted to heal. I didn't want to keep replaying what happened over and over again. I wanted to feel like me. But the criticism, the confusion, and everything I had been programmed to believe about myself were still so loud in my mind. I wasn't just trying to heal and move on from what happened. I was trying to figure out what was actually true about me. Who I really was. What I could actually trust and believe again. And that's why I created the self-trust breakthrough session. Because sometimes you need somebody to sit with you and help you untangle the criticism, the confusion, the fear, and all the lies from the truth about the woman God created you to be. In this session, I help you begin separating what is really you from what the abuse trains you to believe, so that you can leave with one clear truth about yourself that you can begin trusting again. And that one truth matters because it gives you somewhere to start, somewhere to begin rebuilding the confidence you thought was gone. So head to www.growingthroughpains.com/coaching and book your self-trust breakthrough session. A while ago, I had to make a decision about making a call to someone, and it was simply about clarifying something. But let me tell you, that might sound simple, but I catastrophized this call. I was afraid. I was thinking through the worst case scenarios until I became filled with anxiety after the long delay. I opted not to call, and with me not calling, something negative did happen. It wasn't like life or death or I can't recover from this, but it had implications for myself and another person involved, all of which could have been avoided if I had simply made the call to have a clarification. Now, that negative outcome took me back to something that was said to me years prior when I was still in the narcissistic environment. And that was, I never should have listened to you. Women make foolish decisions. And that statement had such a profound effect on me. And when this new situation came up, I felt heavy. I felt ashamed. I was disappointed in myself. And I remember just beating myself up for days, just saying, I am so foolish. How is it that I could not even make such a simple decision that I can't really trust myself to do anything. I can't do anything. And that outcome felt to me as if it was proof of my incapabilities. Now, thankfully, having time to reflect and really look back, I recognize that the issue wasn't so much about me making the decision as much as I was afraid of what a negative outcome would confirm about me. Now, when you've experienced narcissistic abuse, simple decisions do not feel simple anymore. So things such as making a call, speaking to a person, making a reply, choosing where to go, where not to go. These things can feel heavy because your mind remembers all the times that you got something wrong. The truth is, in narcissistic abuse, mistakes are never just treated like simple mistakes that you can learn and grow from. Mistakes become proof of how foolish you are, how selfish you are, careless, too emotional, incapable, or somehow the problem. Mistakes were things to throw back in your face in a later argument. And unfortunately, when these things are so embedded in your psyche after years of this type of reaction to simple mistakes, when you have to make choices now, before you can even choose, and I'm not talking about life-altering decisions here, I'm talking about simple things. Fear starts talking. And when you do make a decision, if things don't go perfectly, that old shame comes rushing back in quickly. So then the painful part is not only that the outcome was negative, but there's a deeper pain of what the outcome seems to confirm about you. For me, it touched the old words of women make foolish decisions. For you, it may sound like, see, I always mess up things. I can't trust myself. Why am I so stupid? I should have known better. Something is wrong with me. And that's what narcissistic abuse does. It trains you to turn a negative outcome into your identity. And that hurts deeper because it just reinforces the whole low self-worth thing. But in healing, it's important to remember that that pattern can be disrupted, that pattern of thinking, because a painful outcome can teach you something without it defining you. Your identity or worth is not rooted in things that happen or not happen. Your identity and worth was settled by Christ before you were even born. And I'm not saying that choices do not matter, because they do. However, not every choice is a life or death situation. Not every choice carries a life or death consequence. Sometimes we do look back and realize, okay, we would choose differently next time because we have learned more after the fact. Sometimes there are consequences, but learning from these things is not the same thing as shaming yourself. You can say, I wish I handled that differently, without it becoming, I'm so stupid, I can't even trust myself or do anything right. You can admit, I made this choice out of fear, without saying, I'm incapable of making good decisions. So in essence, you can learn from a decision without letting it become your identity. And this goes either way, good or bad. So this week, I want to challenge you. When something comes up, a choice that you have to make comes up and it feels heavy, or if you do make a choice and it does not go the way that you hoped, gently pause and ask yourself this question. What am I afraid that the outcome says or means about me? The goal here is not to fix anything or figure it all out, but rather to notice. You might notice things coming up such as, I'm afraid that it might mean that I'm foolish. I'm afraid that this might mean I can't trust myself, or that something is wrong with me, or that everything that the narcissist has said is true about me. So write it down. Because when you can have an awareness about what is coming up for you, it's the beginning of really separating your true voice from what abuse left behind, so that you can reconnect with your authentic God-given voice and start rebuilding your self-trust and confidence. Because sometimes the fear and all these things that come up that you notice, those are not your true voice. It could be the criticism, shame, and old programming from all the narcissistic abuse that you've lived through. And when those things pop up, it can be hard to separate what is actually true versus what the abuse trained you to believe. And you don't have to do this alone. That's why I created the self-trust breakthrough session. I help you to separate the voices of criticism, fear, shame, and confusion from your authentic God-given voice, the truth about the woman that God created you to be, so that you can live with one truth about yourself that you can begin trusting again. And that one truth matters because it gives you somewhere to begin rebuilding the confidence that you thought was gone. So if you want to have a session with me, go over to www.growingthroughpains.com/coaching and book a session. I want to wrap up today's episode with reminding you, even when you make choices and the outcomes are negative or painful, it does not prove that what the abuser conditioned you to believe is actually true about you. You are not incapable. You are learning, you are healing, and you can make imperfect decisions and still trust yourself to learn, grow, and keep going. Hey friends, I hope today's episode taught you something or gave you a boost. If it did, would you take a couple seconds and share it with someone who's ready to heal from narcissistic abuse? And while you're at it, would you please leave me a quick review on Apple Podcasts? It really thrills me to know that other women are being helped. Now go ahead, stretch, or grab that snack. I'll see you in our next episode.